I inherited my grandfather's house. Now something walks there every night at 3:33 a.m. The key stuck in the lock the first time I tried to open the front door. When it finally turned with a rusty screech, the smell hit me. That particular mustiness of old houses where the wood has absorbed decades of Sunday roasts and winter damp. I sneezed as dust motes swirled in the late afternoon sunlight, slicing through the stained glass transom. "Home sweet home," I muttered, dragging my duffel bag across the threshold. The house looked exactly as I remembered from childhood visits. The same worn Persian rug in the foyer, the same mahogany banister polished smooth by generations of hands. Only now it was all mine. Well, mine and the bank's, considering the back taxes I'd need to pay. Mrs. Henderson from next door brought over a peach cobbler that evening. "Your grandfather kept to himself these last years," she said, wiping her hands on her floral apron. "But he always kept the place up. Even after Martha passed, he'd be out here every Saturday sweeping these very steps." She eyed the overgrown hedges. "You might want to get Joe Myers to look at the furnace before winter, though. Bill was always tinkering with it. That first week was all blisters and paint fumes. I scraped wallpaper in what would be my bedroom. The original 1920s layers revealing themselves like archaeological strata, garish 70s oranges giving way to mint green. Then finally a delicate floral print blackened by coal dust. The clocks were the first oddity I couldn't explain. Not just the grandfather clock in the hall, though finding it stopped at 3:33 was strange enough, but every timepiece in the house, the Belova on the nightstand, the sunbeam wall clock in the kitchen, even the vintage Westclock's alarm I found in a junk drawer, its plastic yellowed with age, its hands frozen at that same ominous time. When I mentioned it to Joe Myers during the furnace inspection, he scratched his salt and pepper beard. Bill had quirks, sure, but this? He tapped the motionless clock face. Never knew him to be superstitious. Practical as they come, that man. Only person in town who still darned his own socks. The footsteps began on my 8th night. I'd fallen asleep on the living room couch, some true crime documentary playing softly on the television. The sound that woke me wasn't loud, just the familiar creak of the third stair, the one with the loose board I kept meaning to fix. What would you do if you heard footsteps in your house? Please comment below. Subscribe to the second part. The basement holds even darker secrets. And we continue. 3:33 a.m. glowed on the cable box. The footsteps moved with purpose down the hallway, not the hurried scamper of rodents or the random settling of an old house. These were measured steps, heel to toe, pausing outside the living room archway. I held my breath as something rasped against the doorframe. Not claws, fingernails, dragging slowly downward in 3 deliberate strokes. I found the lockbox the next morning while clearing out the attic. It was tucked behind Grandpa's army footlocker, the kind they used in Korea. My name, Danny, scratched into the metal lid with what looked like a pocket knife. Inside, a brittle newspaper clipping from the Millfield Gazette, the 12th of October, 1985. Local girl missing near Black Creek. 3 Polaroids showing the house at night, each with a blurred shape in different windows. A child's red mitten, crusted with something dark at the fingertips. A note in Grandpa's precise handwriting. "She comes at 3:33. Don't let her in. Don't trust what she says about Martha. My coffee went cold as I stared at my grandmother's name. She died of breast cancer when I was 6. What could anything have to do with her? That's when I noticed the basement door was open. Not just unlatched, swung wide, though I could swear I'd closed it last night. From the darkness below came the faintest scent of peaches and wet earth. To be continued. What's in the basement?
Like this story? Smash that like button and subscribe for part 2. The basement is even worse. What do you think is in the hidden box? Tell me your theories below.